Gene Simmons, who was the bassist for Kiss, is not a delightful individual. That has already been established. But he has further proven that point with his latest book and comments that he made about women to the New York Post while he was promoting his book. Now, the comments that have some people raising their eyebrows go as follows. He said, "Women have a choice. They can dress in a potato sack or in potato sacks, but as soon as they pretty themselves up with lipstick, lift and separate them and point them in our general direction, they're gonna get a response. Guys are jackasses. We will buy them mansions and houses all because of sex." So let me give you more context about why he made that statement. His new book has to do with becoming powerful, using the power you have, wielding the power you have. And his argument is, women are powerful because they can manipulate people using their sexuality. If they're attractive enough, they can get whatever they want. That is the point that he's trying to make here. He also said, in regard to women who want to have careers and raise a family, get over your biological urges. It's natural to want to have kids, but sorry, you can't have it both ways. You have to commit to either career or family. It's very difficult to have both. Okay, so there is a follow-up to all of this, but I want to open it up to you guys.
This is like the apex of mansplaining, if I've ever seen it. And it's also not a new concept or a new argument. There was a book that came out in 2011 called Erotic Capital, The Power of Attraction from the Boardroom to the Bedroom by this woman named Catherine Hakim. And the problem with this is twofold. One is like, if you invest in the idea of erotic capital, let's just say we're following this through line, it's something you invest in that's going to depreciate in value, right? With the way that aesthetics are set up for women, like incredibly unfair. And then two, it's a double bind, which is if you are attractive, then you have to deal with the sexual harassment angle. So you really don't move forward, and if you use that capital to get something, you're getting still 70 cents on the dollar to a man's dollar.
Right. Well, I think what's also interesting is for the women who do feel comfortable wielding that power, because there's a little element of truth to what he said. I'm not going to deny it.
Right.
Yes, I do think that attractive women could use that power to get certain things, but that actually backfires significantly
all the time,
because you will be accused of not earning something based on your mind or merits. It's, oh, she must have done XYZ sexual favors, it's because she's pretty. You will be degraded and belittled and minimized for the remainder of your career.
Sure, and women who are conventionally attractive, who don't use that power, are still accused of those
right.
things.
That's right.
Right.
And it also penalizes women who are not conventionally attractive, right? So
Right.
where do they fare in this logic that he's outlined? It's also interesting that the argument still maintains that men are distributing the power, right? So you can get power by getting it from us, right? Like we're still doling it out.
That's such a good point.
Right?
You can get that power if you present yourself in a way that we like.
Yeah.
That's essentially what he's saying there. And so he recently went on the Today Show, and the fine ladies at the Today Show called him out on his comments, and here's what he had to say. Take a look.
You were quoted in the New York Post as saying this. You ready? These are your words.
Yep.
Women have a choice. They can dress in potato sacks. But as soon as they pretty themselves up with lipsticks, lift and separate them and point them in our general direction, they're going to get a response.
Blah, 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 blah. So here's the reality. I'm aware of the rules. I didn't create them. So you can try this yourself. I'm not saying life is fair. What I'm saying is the male of the species is visually stimulated. That's life. And so you have power. The power of being a female, and you can access that power to make more money. Go on.
Wait. So given the climate, given everything that's going on, you're saying that if a woman dresses the way she wants, Kath dresses the way she wants, I'm dressing the way I want, I'm not doing it to get a reaction from Dave or
We can argue about that once we get off stage. If you were on a tropical island, the chances are you probably wouldn't put on lipstick. We appreciate it. We want you to be as attractive as possible for us and for each other. So this is not politically correct conversation, folks. Dress in a potato sack.
Why?
Walk out on the street.
Why would I dress in a potato sack?
You might like
No,
potato
I'm
sacks.
saying you have the choice in life.
But why would I have to make that choice?
I'm not being confrontational. I'm on your side. I want women to have all the power they can have. What I'm pointing out is your looks, how you dress, how you present yourself is an outreach, an extension of the power that you have. We can't do that. Men can't do that. We have to build skyscrapers and thereby try to be more attractive to you. Your actual female self is your power. So you have a choice of implementing that power or not. That's up to you.
I mean,
it's up to us.
Yeah, but you made a really good point, which is not only are men in this framework the purveyors of distributing power, but they are defining what power looks like. Because in this model, it's not power, it's domination.
Yeah.
It's that agency to be able to have power over somebody and to be able to manipulate them. So for me, I have a different definition of power, and it doesn't fit within that framework because I don't want to live by patriarchy. And at the end of the day, it's also, it's dangerous to men. I mean, this is what he was saying too. We have to build skyscrapers to be attractive to you. Who wants to live within that kind of system where we're all degraded and reduced down to either our looks or our ability to exploit people to make money?
Yeah, I like that you brought that up, because what he says isn't just insulting to women, it's also insulting to men. Because he thinks that all men are like these primitive apes that can't control themselves and they can't think for themselves and they have no interest in, an intelligent conversation with a woman or her talents or anything. They're only interested in seeing a woman with lipstick and makeup and with, by the way, in his original statement, he talks about lifting and separating them and pointing them in our general direction. He's talking about breasts. He's talking about women's breasts, okay? He thinks that's all men care about, that's the only thing that they ever act on. It's so incredibly simplistic and insulting to both genders.
Yeah, and I mean, it assumes him saying women need to resist our biological urges in terms of that dichotomy between motherhood and the workplace is ridiculous. But let's talk about men's biological urges, right? If we're going to talk about urges, also it presents women as only being interested in men's ability to produce capital and not actually interested, right? A lot of men don't build skyscrapers. Let's start there. Also, women like visual stimulation.
I know.
All of these, there's so many wrong things. And his argument that I didn't make the rules. That's such a lazy argument. You're complicit, and men change rules when they don't like them. So you can't just say it's just this is what it is. So this is how we gotta be. Y'all change stuff when it benefits you. You're benefiting from this system. So
and not only is he benefiting, he's saying I didn't write the rules. Okay, but you're reinforcing, these stereotypes, and you're profiting from it by pushing and reinforcing them in your book. It's just he's not, again, necessarily I don't think that he is illustrative of men in general at all. But I do think that he symbolizes this old school backwards way of thinking that some people still push for.
Absolutely.
I had a number of conversations with people today about this particular story, and with a lot of guys, to be specific. And a lot of guys are on the right side, but they're like, but isn't he also being more insulting toward men because he's saying that we can't control ourselves? Yeah, but he's also saying that the number one, the main capital that women have is their breasts and their lipstick. Yeah.
But then does this strange about face at the end of the interview where he's like, I'm on your side. I want you to have all the equality. And it's what?
Yeah, I know.
So, the drugs and the years and the
stuck in the 1980s.
Yeah, I get he's not a representative sample, but some of these ideas are pretty salient.
If you're a member of the Young Turks, you not only get the whole 2-hour Young Turks show on demand anytime you want, ad-free, but you also get so many other shows. Old School, you'll love it. Aggressive Progressive for guys who are true progressives. Now also Nerd Alert for gaming and tech. What to Flick for movie reviews. You will love it. Check it out right now at tytnetwork.com/join.